Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for joining me for another live stream guided meditation. First and foremost, today is somewhat of I wouldn't say a redo, but we had some audio issues last time uploading. And in terms of the Instagram, YouTube, it says it's waiting for live. Interesting. YouTube, we're having issues with things. Okay, it looks like things are live. We got the go ahead, got the thumbs up. So, again, today we're going to be exploring our consciousness. Now, in terms of this exploration, it's best to understand this as a looking through the lens of awareness. So, what does that really mean? It's everything you do all the time. So, I don't want you to really overthink this. One of the biggest things of meditation is actually just more so putting yourself in a place to recognize the things that are always happening around us that we may overlook. And these subtleties are found in the simplest expressions of our nature. So it's really important to think about how your life can change when you simply look at your existence in this very subtle fashion. And today we're going to be exploring what can be known as the three modes, or technically it's more so known as the three bodies, which are the mind, the emotions, and sensations or physical sensations. And through this introspection today, we're going to really provide ourselves an opportunity to recognize and feel some space in between these different interactions of our own being. So, as with everything else, just relax. I'm going to take a sip of water just because I'm feeling a little parched. But most importantly, it's really all about relaxation to start off with. Meditation doesn't really do much if you're really tense and tight and just uncomfortable. So just make sure you're finding a nice, comfortable position, whether it be sitting on a meditation pillow or sitting on like a nice little yoga mat, or just lying down on the floor. If you're going to meditate in a chair, just make sure you're not resting your back against it. As always, I just like to demonstrate that I'm quite about a foot, maybe half foot of space between myself and the wall here, and just making sure that you're sitting up with good posture. Now, how to approach this meditation. I want you to approach everything today as if it is another person or being talking to you. Now, that may sound a little weird, but in reality, everyone's kind of crazy. Um, think about this. If you were to have your thoughts and your emotions broadcasted to the world in real time as they're happening, how comfortable would you feel going outside? Not very. So think about your own internal dialogue as other. Now, you may be like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. That's kind of weird. That's silly. But it's one of the basic fundamental principles of meditation and what you can call the spiritual path or awakening or enlightenment, whatever really word you want to use. Evolution, you can use that one. But you really want to see and approach everything that's going on in your experience as other. So that's one of the things that may be weird and uncomfortable for you at first, but it's to really establish yourself as the observer. Just want to say again, hey to everyone on YouTube and Instagram watching. But again, first and foremost, make sure that when you're approaching this meditation today, that you're looking at all of the thoughts and the emotions and the sensations that come up as another. See them as other. Don't see them as yourself because they'll distract you easier. When things come up, hear it as a different voice. It may have your own, your own imagination voice, but literally it's the best way to interpret this is to hear and interpret all the interactions within you as other. So you start to establish yourself as the observer. Now, we're going to talk our way through this. So it's a little bit easier when we practice it together. So again, just make sure you're comfortable in a nice position. There's not that much direct light in your face. And just begin to relax. We'll start with our three alms with the singing bowl. And we'll kind of just cozy on and get into it. So just begin to relax. Drink some water one more time. And we're going to get going here. So from now, you should be following your breath in sound and sensation alone. When you breathe, just listen to the rhythm. Don't force it. Your body naturally and automatically operates. You don't need to tinker with it. Simply observe it. A lot of the practice here today is going to be establishing a good realm and ground of observation. Allowing each bell to relax the body, the emotions, and the mind. Today you're invited to let go. To let go of the past pains, to let go of the past traumas, to let go of the future anxieties, to let go of the future assumptions and speculations, and to simply be here in this present moment. One thing I always like to express is that I'm not showing you anything new. In fact, I'm here to show you what has always been present within your experience, but is often overlooked because of the busy lifestyle we all live nowadays, because of the hardships we all live through, and the fact that most are in a battle for survival and not simply living peacefully in existence as intended. However, like all good things, we must go through obstacles and hurdles, for nothing worthwhile is ever easy. Today, let's take a look at the body. With our eyes closed, what do you feel? Is it not when you give your attention more to the body, you feel the angst within it, the desire to move and fidget? But just like any unruly student, you must simply discipline it. Do not give it the option. Today you sit for yourself. Today you rest in your stillness for yourself. It is an expression of love. It is an expression of compassion. For as many of us experience, the body tends to want, to desire its own. And we interpret these sensations and phenomena as an attachment, a pull towards or away from something. But you are the rider, and the body is the horse. And even here you may question yourself. Has it been operating the other way? Has the horse been leading you around? One thing to understand is this: your life is what you make it. All of your experience is what you make it. Even in memory, we've all heard stories greatly blown out of proportion. For everything we do, we experience, we perceive, is manifested from us. In terms of our introspection today, take yourself deeper. Go beyond the first instincts and impulses of the body. Go beyond the habits of the heart and mind. See them for what they are. Hear them for what they are. For when you come to understand the mind, the emotions, and the body are simply outlets of expression, no longer do they dominate the expression that you express, the actions that you act on, and the reality that you perceive. The simplest understanding is the threefold nature of our being. We express ourselves through a physical form, yet we also are controlled by the emotional and mental strings that are constantly chattering about internally. The one thing I'm here to show you today is the unchanging essence, the unchanging nature of your pure being, that which we call consciousness, and that which we experience as I, as me. There's nothing special about consciousness. In fact, it's so ordinary and plain that the mind seeks to run away with its many avenues of imagination to define it, to express it, to ponder upon it. But in truth, true expression of consciousness is effortless. It's the spontaneous aspects of life, the random nature of things that seemingly happen. One can't put their finger on consciousness, for it is not a thing you can touch. However, it can be observed through the aroma of it, the peace that is experienced, the calm that is experienced, the weightlessness that is felt. And whether you like to admit it or not, you're already enlightened. You're already awake. For you hear my words, do you not? Simultaneous perception and action. Consciousness is like water flowing. However, when we believe ourselves to be a body, to be the emotional state that is happening in the present, or when we believe the thoughts to be our truth and absoluteness, then we are overlooking our effortless nature. What were you before you were named? Do you remember being born? Do you know what death is like? These are things that we seemingly don't know or we forget. But in truth, it doesn't mean it didn't arise. Just like now I'm telling you, it's okay that you forget what you are. We all do. But you have the opportunity to recognize and to realize what is truth and real within your life, within all life. But you must be courageous and look honestly. Are you going to continue to listen and to side with the contradictions of our emotions and mental body, our thoughts? Or are you going to look at them for the random, spontaneous phenomena they are? You have this ability of focus, for we've all experienced sudden lapses in time where our presence and focus on a single object or subject takes us forward in time. And to us, what it's experienced as maybe 30 minutes can in reality for others be perceived as 2 hours or more. We commonly call this in the zone. But what really is it, other than letting go of the internal chatter and simply allowing yourself to flow and be as intended? And as you may observe, life will spontaneously act upon its own accordance. I'm not here to negate the importance of the mind, the emotions and sensations, for without them, we wouldn't survive. Ask anyone who's blissed out or in oneness with the universe. There is zero care in the world, literally zero care, and because of that, you can starve, you can get hurt. So we must see this affectionate gaze inward as the true expression of compassion, for we have left this body, these emotions and mind to run about on their own. When we identify our entire existence and beingness in them, they run amok. And in truth, it is the body that desires, it is the emotions that want, and it is the mind's never-ending curiosity of needing to know. So let go of them, for they are nothing but a hot pan and you are continuing to scold your fingers. You can look at all the good they've brought you, but you must also equally look at all the bad. For each of these moments is an opportunity to recognize the game that it plays upon you every day. Your emotions are so strong, you ignore those around you, you isolate yourself. But is that really the tool of the heart? You can look at the power of the thoughts and the mind, how useful they are in arithmetic and other things of that nature. But you also be abused by this slave master as it whips you into sleepless nights, restless moments, and fearful nights. Truth be told, we learn through our suffering and pain. And those who have suffered the most extremes have the most to learn. Everyone wants to be free, but no one wants to let go. I'm letting you know you must let go. But do not approach it as a fearful way. Enter into the unknown and know that it's nothing but green pastures. Yes, it will take trust, but trust me now. Love is the only thing on the other side of this doorway. It is the emotions and the mind that closely work together to create moments of restlessness, to create moments of tension and isolation. But know now that their game is to simply dominate and control. The mind is not your friend yet, for you must honestly question your relationship with it. Is it not just the result of your own isolation? For the imagination is the one voice that is always there. But does it serve you or do you serve it? Go even deeper. What is it you even serve? When you see the sensations of the body, the emotions of the heart, and the mental chatter of the mind as clouds in the sky, allow that to create space so you recognize and observe that they come and go. And just like children picking out animals within the clouds, it is you, the perceiver of them, that defines them, that gives them power, and ultimately that which gives them life. There are many changes going on in the world today. There are many changes going on in the universe. Therefore, we must align ourselves with this universal mission and change ourselves. Change the relationship we have with these thoughts, these emotions, and these sensations. For if we don't, they will quickly and tightly wrap themselves around our idea and identity. They'll squeeze and slither their way into each crack that we leave unanalyzed and unquestioned. Therefore, look within. See what's truthful in your own experience. And in this sense, the truth might be in the mistakes. What patterns lead you towards those avenues of chaos? What modes of expression push others away? What modes of expression cause you harm or others harm? And most importantly, what is it that brings you true joy? What is it that brings you peace? We often ignore these and simply get caught away and swept away in their pleasures. Allow yourself to simply observe. Observe dispassionately. No matter the thought that arises, the emotion that comes, or the sensation that is felt, recognize that you are the one seeing it, hearing it, feeling it. It is not felt before you recognize it. It is not known unless you are aware of it. And the subtlety of this play is powerful when recognized and realized and understood. For we often feel these emotions and these thoughts and these sensations are the causes of our actions, but they are merely the effects and spontaneity of life. Allow yourself to observe with space, to observe silently, not to judge yourself, not to question yourself. Simply watch. When we observe silently, the game reveals itself. In truth, there's really nothing for you to do. Simply be, sit, tell yourself, I will simply watch. And you can tell me if there was still chatter or not. For those of you that still hear and feel internal happenings, let that reassure you the words that are truthful, words that have already been said as the nature of these phenomena. They come and go on their own. You have nothing and very little to do with them. The only thing you have to do with them is focus and give them life or to dismiss and watch them go as quickly as they came. And for those of you that felt peace and that your internal environment is calm, was it not just like sleep that got you there? Simply resting? Any spiritual pointer that has you doing things is leading you away. The only things that I point out are your very natural expression of what is already present in there, what you already are, what we all already are and always have been. And more importantly, to recognize that this is not a state of being. It is the ground of being in which all states are built upon. For everything we experience must be perceived through our sense of I am, this sense of beingness, feeling me. In order to truly observe the mind, the emotions, and the body, and to witness their natural expressions, and to observe their patterns and tendencies. Be disinterested in them. Be more focused and curious about consciousness itself, more commonly mentioned as focus on I am, or simply hold I am within your heart and mind and body. And as we've discussed and explored, this I am is consciousness. It's simply known. When someone asks you, who are you? You instinctually say, me. This is common across all realms and grounds and beings of life. And in truth, that is the ground of all existence. What are you outside of the body? What are you outside of your emotion? What are you in between your thought? Allowing existence to be is not difficult because it's some treacherous task or challenging obstacle. Coming to these recognitions only appears challenging because you're so caught up in doing things all the time, running around and having to interact and engage and make things happen. And this path only appears difficult for many because they simply don't know how to rest and be still. So know here there is no ladder for success. There are no steps and avenues you must travel. You must simply let go of your grip, let go of the tension, let go of the beliefs that you have to control and do everything, and simply Sit back and watch the show, as life always does and has and will. We're all in the same playground of universal expression. But only when you realize that you're a part of the show do you stop acting like you're a leading role. This is not to downplay your significance or the significance of your existence, but rather to express that we're all playing this game together. And in that very fundamental truth, we must realize we're all in the same playing field. No one above, no one below. As said in scriptures of many religions, we are all children of one. To look and explore your own happenings, the physical sensation, the emotional phenomena, and the mental happenings of thought, is to sit back like you're watching birds at a pond. You only come to know the habits and tendencies of the flock when you sit silently and let them be. And in their expression, as you always do, you will witness it. And when you experience and recognize the patterns and habits and tendencies, they will instinctually, automatically, naturally relieve themselves of duty. Each and every being is capable of infinite, truly infinite potential. But you must stop holding yourself back. You must let go. And through this loving and compassionate surrender, you will be left with nothing but peace, unity, and love. Allow yourself to sit and watch yourself from this reference frame of I am. And look at your own thoughts, look at your own emotions, and look at the own sensations of the body. See them as other. See them as something separate from yourself, for you are the one that witnesses them, and without you they would not be. Just as in sleep when you are not here, you do not experience the world. And as we come back, allow each bell slowly bring you back. As with all aspects of meditation, what you observed and witnessed does not end when you stand up and open your eyes. You must carry this with you, assimilate it into your being. And with that, we conclude today's meditation. As with everything else, just some quick closing marks. Spirituality is a very rewarding path in a lot more ways than just, being happy. I think one thing that is the biggest takeaway thus far, my own search, has been just how much really doesn't matter when you recognize the absurdity or true nature or silliness of things. And I feel like more and more, especially nowadays, there's so much tension between other people, between cultures, and just overall this whole world is just, everyone seems so energized. And the best way to utilize that energy is really to put it towards a meaningful purpose and task. And ultimately, that's discovering what's real and true, or what is it that's, that causes you to be happy. What allows you to really let go of pain and suffering. And I wish I could tell people, I wish I could tell you that this was a quick and easy process, because it would be a partial truth if I were to say that to you. In its essence, any type of real awakening can happen like that. Often does. In fact, every time it happens like that, you don't really know or expect it or see it coming. But the whole point behind meditation and the whole point behind really actively assimilating what you've gained from it and what you've learned in your life, and to reflect, the purpose is to put yourself in positions where you can receive this type of grace, these opportunities to realize these aha moments. And if you don't constantly kind of remember this aspect of the search, if you don't remember the positive sensations of what you've experienced, which if you really don't bring them to the forefront of your mind, you're going to wake up every day and it's going to be wiped away clean. It's going to be a new slate, and you're going to be put in positions where you made a mistake and you remember again, oh, that reminds me of that. And that is a very natural process of life, but we're at a point in our history where we can't afford to kind of take the easy way out and just kind of play the ignorance card and let just life show us our lessons, or we're not really going to receive the ultimate rewards of the end of this search or the continuation of this search. And that's freedom. Honestly, it's liberation. It's feeling, the infinite love that we all feel. It's coming to understand the fundamentals of existence, that there's no difference between you and I, that all those things you hear across the spectrum of people talking about their experiences on psychedelics or consciousness expanders, how I like to call them, how they feel love and union and, oh, everything's one. And I mean, ultimately, I tell everyone, like, I'm here to let you know, like, I want to let you know that you can experience all of those things sober. In fact, that's our base state. And it's only the drugs that kind of quiet the mind and put us in positions for us to see. But again, you have the power to do this on your own. And I'm actually forgetting the name of it. It's a Vedic, or it's an Eastern term, technically an Indian term, Sanskrit. But essentially, it's like I think it's like the Bogdi and the Yogi, or the Bogdi. But it's essentially, one of them is a letting life kind of guide you, and you're just life's adventuring, and it's teaching you and pulling you to all these lessons and these opportunities. And then there's the yogi, which is like I am going to question the adventures and experiences I've had because I want to know the truth. And you can see this as, one wants the truth and one wants happiness. And there's often a very distinct divide between the two, that one's very stoic and the yogi is very determined and disciplined and will sit for days and not eat. And the bhakti will be like, oh, I'm just going to go play around and life will just guide me. The universe will show me the way. And they're two sides of the same coin. Um, Life is often this, I always say, life is my biggest teacher. And I have listened and read and to other gurus and awakened beings and things like that. But ultimately, the best teacher is life. But there is fundamental aspects of existence, just like with our body, in terms of, digesting. Like, just as we eat food, we must digest and process it, assimilate it into our being, and then we kind of expel the unnecessary bits. Now, your own life is just like that. You have experiences that you go through and you live through and you witness, and that's like your spiritual body eating that up. And the key here is most people don't digest that. And it's one of the actual issues that happens with the Bhagavad is, if you don't question with purpose and intent, and you don't look at what you've experienced, you're not actually processing it. And that's kind of, for me, where I see that everyone needs to have their own balance of that yogi and bhagdi, or bodhi. I apologize if I'm butchering that, by the way. But it's one of those things where you need to have that kind of, it's that natural contraction and relaxation of life. Everything kind of operates in this fashion where you can't just live and have all these awesome experiences and truly gain the most from them and learn from them unless you sit down and really look at everything. And in the same way, the same process of kind of looking at the sensation, the emotions, and the mind, it works just like this, where you have to really have these moments to sit down and to look, sit down and question, sit down and observe. Because if you don't, you're never going to process these experiences. You're never going to process these moments. And more often than not, they're just going to keep happening. And these cycles are just going to keep repeating. Um, Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I really hope that you can gain, a more accurate practice of what meditation is really intended to be. And it's, go out and experience and live your life, but don't forget what you gained when you were meditating. Don't forget that, have your life now be filtered through that. And if you do this earnestly and you do this genuinely, I promise you, nothing but more revelation and recognition and understanding and wisdom will be gained, because you're now actively participating in how life's meant to be. You're not fighting the natural flow of things. You're meant to experience things. Shit is meant to go down in your life. No one's life's meant to be easy. And that's one of the problems that we're all experiencing nowadays, is we all want to compare our sufferings and we all want to put each other down and say my pain's worse than yours. No, we're all experiencing pain and suffering. And yes, some people may be feeling a more severe amount. But again, as I've said before, those of you that have experienced pain and suffering, you have the most to gain from this type of search. You have the most to gain from this type of practice. And no matter the abuse, and I mean no matter the abuse or trauma or experience that you've been through, when you learn and properly digest those experiences and you really gain everything you can from them, you'll be relieved and released from them. because it just gets out of the system. And that's one of the things that it's another paradoxical feeling of being a person, is that when we're confronted with this negativity and this suffering and pain, it causes us to want to look away because it hurts. But just as I've said before, and just as those nautical goers know, that if you have a big wave coming, you can't try to go to the side. You can't try to steer around it. You got to go through it, because if you don't, it's just going to knock you over, and you're just going to drown. You're going to be now defenseless. You're going to be out of your boat. And when negative things come up, when a lot of this weird phenomena happens internally that you may observe in your meditation, just see that. Don't look away. Continue to look, and just silently look. And again, most importantly, dispassionately observe. Show no interest. Just the only interest I want you to show is just the willingness to just let experience in life be. And if you approach things with that vigor, if you approach things from that sense of understanding and that reference frame, then I promise you nothing but good things will happen from your search. And today and tomorrow, especially with like the blood moon, the super blood moon, and the eclipse, and just how the state of the world is, like there's so much energy out there, and potential energy rather, for people to really invest, and really channel that energy into something positive. And you have to be your own catalyst for this. You have to be your own catalyst. It's not going to be anyone else. This type of search doesn't come from someone, touching your forehead, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm awakened. I know life. I'm free. That's not how this works. Anything that you see like that is a patch job. I'm sorry, it's not real. It's not real in the sense where it's not going to be there when they're gone. You make this ship, you make your own ship, you sail the seas. You're your own navigator, you're your own captain, you're your own mechanic, you're your own navigation system. Like, you're here on this planet. You come into this world alone, and you exit it alone through this reference frame of I am. And don't live your life in ignorance of that question until you're on your deathbed. You have the opportunity to die before you die, so to speak. And there's nothing more liberating, and there's nothing more loving. So I wish you guys the best of weekends. I wish you a great day, and I'll see you guys next week. I wish everyone has a great day. I'm just trying to end the live stream so it's less awkward, because YouTube has that weird delay with things. So bye, everyone. Have a good one.